Forecasters say La Nina, the cool flip side to El Nino, is returning for a second straight year. NOAA says a weak La Nina has formed and is expected to stick around for several months. It is a natural cooling of parts of the Pacific that alters weather patterns worldwide. The deputy director of NOAA's Climate Prediction Center says this La Nina should be just as weak as last year's. All right, Jeff, so what does La Nina typically mean for us?
Well, it depends on if it's a weak one or a strong one. Last year's didn't last very long, went away a few months early. Typically, we tend to have a little bit milder winter weather and a little bit drier. Again, that's if everything comes to fruition, but there's not a complete direct correlation. So take that with a grain of salt. In other words, probably a tendency for our winter, or at least part of it, to be like that, but we'll just have to wait and see if it sticks around, if it gets any stronger. Speaking of sticking around, we have some rain out there that is still sticking around, not the heavier precipitation that we had earlier in the day, and we've seen a little bit of a change. A lot of the precipitation was moving southwest to northeast, a little bit higher up into the atmosphere. A lot of those clouds are moving out to be replaced by the really low level clouds that are starting to move back in toward the west or even the southwest. So we have a few areas still here up to the north with a little bit heavier precipitation across parts of the sort of interior middle peninsula, parts of the northern neck, back here north and west of Williamsburg, sort of south and east of Richmond. Some more heavier rain down across areas south of us. That's going to slide here across mainly parts of the Outer Banks. So here locally, we're expecting gradual clearing by later in the evening, but still a few areas of generally scattered and light rain. Otherwise, we'll just call it cloudy and cool. Temperatures holding pretty close to where they are now, around 55 degrees, or at least not dropping much, because you can see we're 55 to about 57, 58, or 60. That's our current temperature, so we will drop just a few degrees this evening as those temperatures are below normal, and we'll get even chillier coming up. Right now we are up compared to yesterday, 5, 8, 9, even 10 degrees. Low pressure offshore, responsible for the rain of the last few days, slowly moving out, being pushed along. This is what we call a kicker in weather terms, meaning quite literally it kicks it along and out of the way in the atmosphere. So here comes this kicker swinging on through as a cold front pushes everything off to the east. By morning, maybe a little lingering rain or a shower or a couple of clouds across the Outer Banks. But for the rest of us, did you see that temperature near 50? Look what happens by later morning, 47. And then during the afternoon, 45 and dropping. It will be a lot colder tomorrow during the afternoon, especially with the wind chill, which will be in the 30s compared to even early morning when you head to work or school. So just be aware of that. Make sure you take a little bit of an extra layer or bundle up that coat just even more than in the morning. And then into Saturday morning, 36, I think, is a pretty good temperature right at the airport, the official reading, with that wind still coming in off the bay water, which is, mild. It's in the 60s, so it's hard to get the air right near the shoreline with that open, heat source to cool down a lot. Once you get a little bit inland, it'll be low 30s, and most of the region is under a frost. They both start with F, both 5 letters, but a little bit of a difference. A frost warning for early in the day on Saturday. A lot of spots will be into the upper 20s to near 30. And by afternoon, high pressure settling in with sunshine, but readings staying in the mid-40s. Water levels, I said yesterday that we would top out, we thought around 4.8 this afternoon. It was 4.7 tonight, as expected, 3.8. We had said 3.9 yesterday, so an inch off. But this is where things, again, go back up, and we had mentioned that as well, that I thought past the time frame that we were showing, that northerly wind would kick in. I wouldn't even doubt it maybe gets a little bit higher. Generally, though, the high end of nuisance flooding coming up even a couple of days from now. You can see all the rain that was around earlier. Pretty big time rains across the region starting to slowly move out, leave us with some drizzle, some patchy light rain. Clearing by later tonight, though. Temperature by morning 49, and then tomorrow's high 49 in the morning. Windy and colder, dropping down through the 40s pretty significantly despite the sunshine during the afternoon. Tomorrow night 36, near 30 for inland and or rural areas. And that rain symbol needs to go from that. That is not correct. 46 for a high on Saturday, 58 Sunday. Shower late Sunday night and Monday potentially, and then temperatures get back closer to where we should be as we get into next week.